Good morning to everyone. Good day. And I would like to explain a little bit what we are doing in this winery from the Pyrenees, and which is between France and Spain. We are in the Spanish border. We are Catalan, and we do all these wines in the very cool region. Sometimes people is difficult to understand when they drink these wines, but they don't belong to a typical Spanish wine at all. And this is why we are 1,000 meter high, so the landscape and the weather and the climate is different here, especially the climate. So we have a very crispy, fresh wines, and I will introduce to you each one of these wines. We take a lot of attention to viticulture, especially, so we are doing a lot of effort in close spacing, in muscle selection, in clonal selection of all these grapes who they are not the typical, neither Mediterranean varieties because it's way too cold to mature them. And so there is a great team for viticulture, and also a very important thing in this winery that we have one historical site. So surrounding a 12th century church, there is 8 stone gravity fermenters. So we do ferment a big part of these wines outside, and some of these wines 100% outside. And of course, we age these afterwards in barrels, and after this, the typical aging. And also, we have a good team of enologists there. There are 3 enologists that work in full time in the winery. Although the majority of the time we are again in the vineyard, which is the more important side. We are organic. We do everything organic. Close spacing with wheat. We do our own manure because we are very close to shepherds. We are in the middle of nowhere, where we have some advantage, and the advantage is we have quite a bit of animals there, so cows, and there is quite a bit of also lamb, etc. So we have we can get all the manure there, and we move everything according to the moon, energetic things, etc. So that's something important. We don't add anything to the soil other than that. And another aspect is that the philosophy of the wines here is not laissez-faire, but is more doing our own style. So our own style, which is towards this personality that the rock fermenters give, also towards showing up the landscape. Our landscape is the soil in Castell is frank calcaric, so the wines will show this salinity. We are not encouraging at all the fruit. We are more encouraging some more finesse, and we don't like things very intense. So there is, besides this crispiness, there is all these layers that we think the wines not for impress. We think the wines for eating, and this is why we are lucky of being in so many 3 Michelin stars already in the worldwide. So that's also a sign of recognition. With some of our wines, we are close to 15 3 Michelin star restaurants in the world. So we are happy about that, and so we really think the wines about the good food, and you know that in Spain, and particularly the Basque and the Catalan countries, we have one of the best restaurants in the world. So we are very lucky also about that, and we collaborate with some of the sellers as Sellera and Roca, for example, or Echevarri, and we do a lot of things with Mugaritz, etc., in Spain, because we are close and we can do a lot of things, but without forgetting, I can mention all of them because Arsac, etc., we are working with all of these very famous restaurants, and La Sarte in Barcelona, etc. We are doing a very good job with all these restaurants. And I can introduce each one of the wines for you. In this sense, we work Ekam, which in Sanskrit means unity of gods, because I like yoga, zazen, because we are in a silence. We are in the middle of nowhere. So what we have is silence, this is true. We have silence, and at the same time, the nature is very powerful. So sometimes there is heavy hailing, so we have animals. We have to fence everything because I'm against hunting in some regard. Nothing against hunters, but I mean I'm more peaceful in this sense. I don't like guns. And this is a Riesling Albarino, a cam, and so it's a curious blend. Riesling Albarino. There are two terpenic varieties, very crispy, fresh. It will turn out also being hydrocarbon-like aromas. So these delicate kerosene mixed with citric aspects with a very nice acidity. So you will age forever. So you can have this wine for the next 20, 30 years with no problem at all. Also, you can open the bottle and enjoy the bottle during the next month because thanks to the acidity. So Ecam, this is a curious blend. Riesling Albarino is this friendship between the monks who began everything in the 12th century, again, as we are doing the things, between the Camino de Santiago, whatever. I mean, they were doing the. So we are bringing these from the Riesling to the German side or the center of Europe, you want to say, to the other end, the end of the land or the end of the world in some moments that they thought. So in Galicia, the Albarino, that's the thing, Ecam. We also do one from the camp. We do also one spedless style. In this case, it's a pure Riesling, and that we do very little amounts, but that's the thing. On the other hand, the second wine that I would like to introduce you is that it's called Taleia. Taleia in Catalan means obsession. So, and a little bit, this is my character. When I have one idea, I try to accomplish the idea, whatever it happens. Normally, what happens is a lot of work. That's the thing, yeah. Taleia is a Sauvignon Blanc Semillon. So in Australia, you know very well what a Sauvignon Blanc Semillon it is and why the Semillon is added here to avoid overwhelming all these very powerful sulfur compounds, things that the Sauvignon has. We work with natural yeast to avoid intensity and also at the same time we are very careful about the skin contact time, so also for the thinness. There are wines with not heavy alcohol at all. The ones before Ecam was 12 alcohol, 12 and a half. We are speaking here 12 and a half, 13 maximum. We do ferment these in the rock fermenters that perhaps you will see in my in some moment in this video film, whatever, because it really is very worthy, interesting to see, understanding why we are doing these things there, to assure the natural yeast and also to extract part out of these sandy, rocky fermenters, extract some of these oligo elements. So Taleia, this Sauvignon Blanc Semillon, 50%, around 50% is fermented in wood, 1/3 is fermented outside in the rocks and also stainless steel for keeping some of the fruit. So that's Taleia, and aging potential is very great. We are very happy about this wine being very successful in the finest restaurants in the world. So we are in a lot of them. We have a version, although in that is called minus SO2 without sulfites at all. Because as a matter of fact, I did my PhD in when it was not so fashionable things without sulfite, natural wines. So at the end of the 90s, I was very interested in minimizing the sulfites. This is why I don't get religious about these things, but I had very clear that minimizing is a very important word, although we do a wine, and I'm doing research with no sulfites at all, but I keep very realistic about what is possible, what is not possible, advantage, disadvantage, so that's the thing. So that's Taleia, and even we have a version with non-sulfites, although all our wines are with very low sulfites. We don't need it because we have a big advantage, which is very low pH, and this is the trick. So we have the weather to do that. I would like to introduce to you also why we are doing in the Pyrenees Pinot Noir. The name is Acus, is the name of the mountain. In the 11th century, the monks put this name in the mountain of Acus, which is above or around 1,000 meters high. It is planted all these vineyards with nice Dijon muscle selection and clonal selection. So that's a pure Pinot Noir. And why we do this in Spain? We do this in Spain because there is so many mountains in the Pyrenees. We can have all these microclimates to get a very crispy floral Pinot Noirs, and that other people, of course, in a blind tasting, sommeliers or people who likes wine will get very confused where they come from, which is normal because the wine have to reflect, in some regards, have to reflect the landscape. The weather is what we are trying to do. We try to show the landscape where we are, which is great, the middle of this wild nature, and so yeah, Pinot Noir that I believe is worthwhile, challenging, and I invite to you to get confused with the great Pinot Noirs in the world. I am sure that you will get confused in a blind tasting. So and at the same time, people will understand very good if you have ever the chance to visit us in a place where also you can eat very well, and in a lot of places in Catalonia, yeah, in the mountains. So that's nice. Have to reflect this weather in the mountains. How about if we speak about Shiraz? And you know very well also here in Australia what Shiraz means. The oldest continent in the world and the oldest vineyards in the world, Shiraz-like. Shiraz-wise, it means from the point of view that in Barossa you have a heritage, something very unique. And but because the weather, I produce something different because it has to represent Shiraz with much more, say, spicy aromas than a little bit the maturity that there I cannot get in the same way. So this is the harvest is here is in the beginning of October, so it already shows up in Europe. That is called weather Shiraz. Very spicy, very white pepper, all these sort of aromas. Again, not very high alcohol because the weather, but the idea here is not to extract nothing, and long-lasting, a more feminine Shiraz, if you want to express the things in this way, and also matching very well with sort of some of our my conception of the Mediterranean, not heavy fruit, that even this can match well with some bluefish and things like that. So it's I believe it's interesting for the so many people who like Shiraz here in Australia to compare this. So it's a good matching. So it's like yin and yang things, and I do believe that for all the lovers of, and I have a very good friends here in Australia, winemakers, and of course some soulmates that we were together in UC Davis studying together, and have a very good friends here. So it's nice to share people who realize how much effort there is behind a wine. So comparing styles, comparing the philosophy, I do believe is a nice thing. So that is my the Bobet, my name, my last name. So that will be the Bobet interpretation of the Shiraz in the Pyrenees. So comparing this with the great Shiraz we have here, why not? I mean, it's for enjoying things. That's a little bit the thing. And the last wine that today I want to introduce you is called, in Latin, this is Quest, not Quest, but you can say this Quest, although it's a Latin name. So you have to remember that the original name is Quest. Quest is making question to yourself, and this is a Bordeaux blend with Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, a Petit Verdot, and a little bit of Merlot. And this is the only one you make 100% outside in the stones. Of course, there is 100% natural yeast outside. And after this is aged 18 months in the barrel. Again, it will be you will find a little bit how they were the Bordeaux before getting things more mature, doing things very I would say spicy, leathery. Some of the in the mouth is very velvety. So is this version of Cabernet Sauvignon, which is more smooth and long aging potential, good acidity, not veggie in the mouth at all, because we harvest this at the end of October with a nice maturity. It's not very heavy alcohol neither, but a good maturity, so with a good exposition. Again, it's something you need that you can like, you dislike. 12th century, fermented outside, touching all these stones and getting all these natural yeast from every one of the vats. You can get a different little, some small difference between the taste that these rocks have. So something unique for the freakies of the wine, I believe, is interesting. This is a wine for the freakies of the wine. You will see that to trying to get new aspects about the blend that existed more in the world for this sort of Bordeaux blend. And maybe the last thing that I want to mention is something that there's some connection with Melbourne and myself here, which is one of my best friends is my professor, Dr. Roger Bolton from here, and he directed my thesis, and I came here, and also they invited to me to give some talks of the Priorat. We have another winery in the Priorat, and I'm more specialist in Mediterranean varieties, as specialist mainly in Carignan, and also we do some Grenache, etc. And yeah, and we had so there is some connections with Roger Bolton and myself, and both of us we like a lot of engineering, we like a lot of being very rational about things, but at the same time, the soul connection to the land, the soil. So yeah, I invite you again to come to the winery whenever you want, because there is a lot of things that connect these very open people that are the Australians, and also very open people who are the Spaniards and the Catalan. So at the end is a trip to friendship and enjoying things. And thanks for listening this, and yeah, good appetit, and a salute to all of you. Hope you to see someday in the winery. Thanks.